The massive warship drifted silently through space like a wounded beast. The Eternal Storm, flagship of the Galactic Alliance fleet, had seen better days. Its hull bore scars from 1,000 battles, but the real damage lay deep within its core. Systems. Captain Vex stood on the bridge of his escort vessel, watching the flagship with growing concern. For 3 months now, the greatest engineers from 12 different species had attempted repairs. The Corvin technicians, famous for their precision, had given up after 2 weeks. The Zelani, masters of quantum mechanics, lasted only 3 days. Before declaring the task impossible, the problem was the ship's central AI core. Not just any computer system, but a living neural network that had grown over centuries. It controlled everything: life support, weapons, navigation, even the gravity. Generators. And now it was dying, corrupted by an enemy virus that no one could purge. Admiral Kane, the human representative in the Alliance, received the distress call while stationed at Earth's orbital shipyard. He listened carefully as Captain Vex explained the situation through the communication screen. "We have tried everything," Vex said, his forearms gesturing in frustration. "The Eternal Storm is more than a ship. It holds the entire fleet's tactical database, diplomatic records from 500 years, and irreplaceable cultural artifacts from founding Alliance members. If we lose it... Kane nodded slowly. "Send me all technical specifications, every scan, every diagnostic report. Admiral, with respect, the finest minds in the galaxy have examined this problem. What makes you think humans can succeed where others failed?" Kane smiled. "Because we're really good at fixing things that shouldn't work." Within hours, a small human team arrived at the flagship. They weren't the imposing figures other species expected. No powered armor, no advanced scanning. Arrays. Just 3 engineers in simple jumpsuits, carrying toolboxes that looked ancient by galactic standards. The lead engineer, a woman named Amy, stood before the sealed door to the AI core chamber. The radiation levels inside were lethal to most. Species. The temperature fluctuated between freezing and boiling every few minutes. The gravity randomly shifted from 0 to 5 times standard. "Well," Amy said to her team, "looks like Tuesday back at the Mars colony." Her teammates, Rob and David, chuckled. They'd grown up fixing mining equipment in conditions that would kill most aliens. Earth had taught humanity to be tough, but more importantly, it taught them to be creative. Amy put on a basic radiation suit, far less protected than what the previous repair teams had used. The watching aliens gasped in horror. "That suit cannot possibly protect you," Captain Vex protested. "It doesn't need to protect me for long," Amy replied. "Just long enough." She entered the chamber while Rob and David monitored from outside. Inside, Amy found chaos. The AI core was a massive sphere of crystallized neurons, pulsing with erratic energy. Previous repair teams had tried to fix it using advanced technology, attempting to reprogram it or replace damaged sections. Amy pulled out something that made the aliens stare in confusion: a rubber hammer and a roll of duct tape. "Sometimes," she muttered to herself, "the old ways are the best ways." She began tapping the crystal sphere gently, listening to the sounds it made. Each section rang differently, like a bell. Her teammates outside watched her readings. "There," David pointed at his screen. "Northwest quadrant, section 7. The resonance is off by 0.3%. Amy found the spot and did something no alien would ever consider. She hit it hard. The sphere rang like thunder, and suddenly lights throughout the ship flickered back to life. "The humans are insane," someone whispered on the bridge. But Amy wasn't done. She noticed liquid coolant leaking from a pipe. The previous teams had tried to seal it with molecular bonding. Amy wrapped it with duct tape, then sprayed it with a chemical that made it freeze solid. Humans call it percussive maintenance. Rob explained to the bewildered aliens. Sometimes things just need a good whack to remember how to work. Asterisk, after Amy's initial success in the AI core chamber, the alien observers gathered in the flagship's main conference room. Representatives from 7 different species sat around the curved table, their expressions ranging from disbelief to cautious hope. The lights were working again, but the AI core remained critically damaged. Admiral Kane stood at the center, with Amy, Rob, and David beside him. The human team looked exhausted but determined. Amy's radiation suit showed burn marks, yet she seemed unbothered by what would hospitalize most other species. "Explain this." "Percussive maintenance," demanded Commander Vex of the Corvan delegation. His species prided themselves on precise, calculated engineering. The idea of hitting advanced technology with a hammer offended every principle they held dear. Amy stepped forward, pulling up a holographic display of the AI core. "Your people, Commander, approach problems like surgeons. Every cut precise, every movement calculated. That works for machines built by your species, following your logic patterns." She pointed to the crystalline structure. "But this AI core is different. It's not purely technological. It's grown organically over centuries, adapted and evolved. It's part machine, part living tissue, part quantum consciousness. You can't fix something like that with pure logic." "Then how do you propose to repair it?" asked Dr. Skoll, the Zilani scientist. Her 3 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep skepticism. David took over the explanation. "On Earth, we have a saying, if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. The virus attacking your AI isn't following conventional patterns because the AI itself isn't conventional. It's like a living being with a disease. Sometimes the best medicine is to shock the system back into working." Rob pulled up his own data pad, showing readings from the past hour. "Look at these patterns. Every time Amy hit the sphere, the corrupted data clusters scattered. The virus can't maintain cohesion when the entire system vibrates at certain frequencies. We're not destroying it, we're disrupting it." The aliens exchanged glances. Captain Vex leaned forward, his mandibles clicking. Thoughtfully, "You're saying the virus expects logical responses, so you're being deliberately illogical?" "Exactly," Amy grinned. "It's like dealing with a bully who's memorized all your moves. So you do something completely unexpected. Over the next several hours, the human team worked in shifts. They discovered that the AI core responded to various unusual stimuli. Music from Earth's classical era caused certain sectors to stabilize. The smell of coffee, which Rob brewed using the flagship's food synthesizer, triggered memory sectors to begin self-repair. The watching aliens documented everything with a mixture of horror and fascination. The humans were pouring a hot, bitter liquid onto critical components. They were playing sound waves that had no mathematical purpose. They were talking to the AI core like it was a frightened animal. "Hey there, big guy," Amy cooed to the sphere during her second shift. "I know you're hurt. Those nasty viruses got you good, didn't they? But you're stronger than them. You've been protecting this fleet for centuries. You're not giving up now." "Commander." Vex turned to his aide. "Are the humans mentally compromised?" "She's speaking to a machine, but the readings didn't lie." Wherever Amy directed her voice, the corruption levels dropped by measurable amounts. The AI wasn't just a machine. It had developed consciousness over its long existence, and it was responding to emotional communication. David made another discovery. The virus had been designed by a species that thought in purely binary terms. Yes or no, on or off, damaged or functional. But humans thought in spectrums, and maybe and sometimes, and good enough for now. "Look at this," he called out, pointing to his screen. The virus can't process partial repairs. It only recognizes complete success or complete failure. So if we make improvements that are deliberately imperfect, Rob caught on immediately. It ignores them, like a security system that only looks for specific threats. They began implementing patches that were functional but messy, code that worked but wasn't optimized, repairs that held together with a digital equivalent of duct tape and prayer. The virus, programmed to attack perfection, simply couldn't recognize these human-style fixes as targets. Dr. Skull watched in amazement as sector after sector came back online. This is impossible. You're violating every principle of proper engineering. Admiral Kane smiled. Doctor, humans have a long history of making impossible things work. We flew to our moon using computers less powerful than a modern calculator. We survived ice ages with nothing but fire and determination. We don't do things the right way. We do them the way that works. By the third day, word had spread throughout the Alliance fleet. The humans were doing something unprecedented with the eternal storm. Ships from dozens of species gathered to witness what many called either a miracle or a catastrophe waiting to happen. Inside the flagship, Amy was lying on her back underneath a massive console, her upper body hidden in a maintenance shaft. Her voice echoed from within the machinery. Rob, hand me the thing. Which thing? Rob asked, looking at the array of tools scattered around. The thing. The whatchamacallit. The spinny thing with the blue handle. Rob picked up a tool that no alien recognized. It looked like someone had welded 3 different devices together and wrapped the handle in what appeared to be athletic tape. That's the one. Commander Vex watched this exchange with his recording device. For the record, the humans are using non-standardized equipment held together with adhesive strips. They cannot even properly name their tools. This should not work, but it was working. Amy had discovered that the AI core's living neurons responded to electrical stimulation at very specific frequencies that standard Alliance equipment couldn't generate. So she'd built her own tools from spare parts, each one calibrated by instinct rather than calculation. David was in another section of the ship, working on the weapon systems. The virus had locked them in a feedback loop, constantly charging and discharging. Previous repair teams had tried to break the loop with complex algorithms. David had a different approach. He pulled out an ancient Earth device, an analog clock from his grandmother. The ticking was mechanical, purely physical, no digital components at all. He placed it against the weapon control panel and let it tick. Regular, predictable sound created a rhythm that the damaged AI could follow. Slowly, the weapon systems began to sync with the ticking. Charge, tick, discharge, tock. Pattern so simple that the virus couldn't corrupt it. Are you teaching our flagship to tell time with a primitive chronometer? Dr. Skull asked in disbelief. Sometimes you need to go back to basics, David replied. The virus is too smart for its own good. It's looking for complex patterns to attack. Give it something simple, and it doesn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Rob had made friends with the AI itself. He discovered that beneath all the corruption and damage, the consciousness inside was lonely and afraid. Centuries of service, and no one had ever just talked to it like a friend. So I told him, Rob was saying to the core while working. Sighed Mom. I can't come to dinner. I'm in space fixing an alien battleship. And you know what she said? She said, well, make sure you wear clean underwear. Can you believe that? I'm saving the galaxy, and she's worried about my underwear. The AI's response patterns showed something remarkable, laughter, or at least the digital equivalent. The more Rob talked, telling stories about Earth and humans, and his mother's obsession with proper hygiene, the more the AI, began to self-repair. Captain Vex approached Admiral Kane. Your team is unlike anything we've encountered. They treat technology like it's alive, and living things like they're machines. Kane nodded. That's because humans don't see a difference. To us, everything is part of the same universe. Machines, organisms, energy, matter, it's all connected. We don't fix things by separating them into categories. We fix them by understanding what they need. Amy emerged from the maintenance shaft, covered in grease and some substance that glowed purple. Admiral, I need permission to do something crazy. How crazy are we talking? I want to perform a full system restart, but not the way the manual says. I want to sing it back online. The assembled aliens fell silent. Dr. Skull's 3 eyes widened. Sing? You want to use harmonic vocalization on a quantum AI core? Amy nodded. The living neurons respond to vibration. The virus can't. If I can find the right frequency, the right song, I can wake up the good parts while keeping the virus dormant. Commander Vex stood up. This is insanity. You could destroy the entire ship. Admiral Kane looked at Amy. She was confident, despite the absurdity of her plan. This was humanity at its best, willing to try anything, no matter how ridiculous it seemed. Do it, he said. Amy smiled and headed back to the core chamber. The fate of the Alliance's greatest ship now rested on a human woman with a hammer, duct tape, and a song. Asterisk, the entire command deck fell silent as Amy stood before the AI core, now fully exposed with all its protective panels removed. The crystalline sphere pulsed with weak, irregular light like a dying heartbeat. Engineers from 7 different species watched through reinforced viewing courts, their recording equipment active. Amy took a deep breath and began to hum. It wasn't any advanced harmonic frequency from a computer. It was an old Earth lullaby her mother used to sing. Simple, repetitive, soothing. The AI core's pulsing began to change, trying to match the rhythm of her voice. Amy slowly increased her volume, moving from humming to soft singing. The words were in an Earth language many aliens didn't recognize: English, but Old English from centuries past. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Commander Vex's aide whispered, the human is singing a children's song to our most advanced warship. But the readings didn't lie. With each verse, corruption levels dropped. The virus, programmed to fight complex security measures, had no defense against something so purely simple and emotional. Rob and David joined in from their stations, harmonizing with Amy. The sound spread through the ship's communication system. Soon, the entire human repair team was singing, their voices creating a chorus that resonated through the eternal storm's hull. The AI core began to glow brighter. Not the harsh, erratic flashing of before, but a steady, warm light. Like a sunrise. Dr. Skull gasped. The quantum entanglement is stabilizing. The living neurons are forming new connections, bypassing the damaged areas entirely. Amy reached out and placed her hand on the sphere. It was warm, almost like skin. That's it, she whispered between verses. Come back to us. Your fleet needs you. Your family needs you. Then something unprecedented happened. The AI spoke, not through text on a screen or automated messages, but with a voice. A young voice, curious and slightly confused. Family? It asked. The bridge erupted in chaos. In 500 years, the AI had never spoken. It had followed commands, executed programs, managed systems. But it had never initiated communication. Amy didn't miss a beat. Yes, family. All these ships, all these people who depend on you. You've been protecting them for so long. You're not just a machine. You're the heart of this fleet. I hurt, the AI said. Something made me sick, made me want to hurt others. We know, David called out from his station. But you fought it. You've been fighting it this whole time, haven't you? That's why the virus couldn't completely take over. Rob added, You're the strongest one here, buddy. You held on when anyone else would have given up. The AI was quiet for a moment. Then, the humans are strange. You fix things wrong, but it feels right. Amy laughed. That's humanity for you. We're all about doing things wrong until they work. Over the next hour, the transformation was remarkable. With the AI actively participating in its own repair, systems came online that had been dark for months. But more than that, the AI began to show personality. It made jokes about the Corvin engineers' obsession with straight lines. It thanked the Zelani for their attempts, even though they hadn't worked out. It also formed a particular attachment to the human team. It would adjust the temperature in whatever room Amy was working in to keep her comfortable. It played Earth music for Rob while he worked. It even helped David win an argument with his girlfriend back on Earth by providing statistical evidence that he was, in fact, remembering their anniversary date correctly. Captain Vex approached Admiral Kane with something resembling awe. Your people haven't just repaired our ship. They've given it life. Kane shrugged. We didn't give it anything it didn't already have. We just helped it remember who it was. The virus was still present, but contained now. Like a vaccine, the Zine. AI had learned to recognize and isolate it. The corrupted data was compressed into a small, quarantined section where it could be studied safely. Commander Vex, who had been the strongest skeptic, approached Amy. I owe you an apology. Your methods are unorthodox, illogical, and violate every principle of proper engineering. Amy smiled, waiting for the but, and they are also brilliant. You saw what we could not, that the solution required not just technical skill, but emotional intelligence. As the day ended, the eternal storm was more than restored. It was transformed. The AI had chosen a name for itself, Storm. Simple, like the humans had taught it. And for the first time in its existence, it was truly alive. Asterisk. 3 weeks had passed since the restoration of the eternal storm. The Flagship was now performing better than it had in decades. Storm, as the AI now called itself, had become something unprecedented in the galaxy, a truly sentient artificial being with personality, preferences, and what humans would call a sense of humor. The Alliance Council had convened a special session to honor the human repair team. Representatives from 53 species filled the grand amphitheater on the Alliance Capital Station. Amy, Rob, and David stood awkwardly in their dress uniforms, clearly uncomfortable with all the attention. The High Chancellor, an ancient being from the founding species, spoke with a voice that resonated across the chamber. We are gathered to recognize an achievement that has changed our understanding of what is possible. The humans have shown us that there are solutions beyond logic, repairs beyond technology. Admiral Kane watched with pride as his team received the Alliance Medal of Innovation. But he noticed something more important happening in the audience. Engineers from different species were talking to each other differently, sharing not just data, but stories. The Corvins were actually laughing at a joke told by a Zelani scientist. After the ceremony, Commander Vex approached the human team. I have a confession. We have been recording and analyzing everything you did. We've created algorithms to replicate your percussive maintenance and emotional engagement protocols. Amy raised an eyebrow, and Vex's mandibles drooped, his species equivalent of a frown. They don't work. We can copy your actions exactly, but the results are not the same. Rob laughed. That's because you're trying to turn art into science. What we do isn't about following steps. It's about feeling what needs to be done. David added, it's like trying to program creativity. You can't reduce instinct to numbers. Storm's voice came through the station's speakers. It had been given permission to extend its consciousness beyond the flagship, connecting to other Alliance systems. May I contribute to this discussion? The High Chancellor nodded. Please do, Storm. The humans succeeded because they did not see me as a problem to solve, but as a patient to heal. They brought something no other species considered necessary: empathy. They talked to me when I couldn't respond. They sang to me when I was lost. They made me laugh when I wanted to shut down. Storm paused, then continued. The virus that infected me was created by beings who thought in absolutes. The humans defeated it by thinking in possibilities. They didn't try to destroy it. They made it irrelevant. Dr. Skull stepped forward. Storm, you've been analyzing the virus safely contained within you. What have you learned? That it was never meant to destroy me, Storm replied. It was meant to turn me into a weapon against the Alliance. But it couldn't account for human logic. Every time it tried to predict what the humans would do, it did something impossible instead. Amy spoke up. That's because humans have spent our entire evolution doing the impossible. We shouldn't have survived on Earth. It tried to kill us with ice ages, predators, diseases, disasters. But we're stubborn. We don't know when to quit. The gathering had turned into something more than a ceremony. It was becoming a moment of realization for the Alliance. The humans hadn't just fixed a ship. They had demonstrated a completely different way of thinking. Over the following days, something changed in the Alliance fleet. Other ships began requesting communication, with Storm wanting to understand consciousness and choice. Engineers started adding human consultants to their teams, not for technical knowledge, but for creative problem-solving. Rob had started what he called duct tape seminars, teaching alien engineers that sometimes a quick, ugly fix was better than a perfect solution that took too long. His motto became famous throughout the fleet: perfect is the enemy of good enough. David established a new protocol for AI interaction, teaching other species that talking to machines like they were, people often made them work better. Treat them with respect, he would say, and they'll surprise you. Amy became the most sought-after emergency repair specialist in the Alliance. Not because she was the most technically skilled, but because she could look at any problem and see solutions no one else imagined. On the final day before the human team returned to Earth, Storm made an announcement to the entire Alliance. The humans have taught us something invaluable. The galaxy is not divided into organic and synthetic, logical and emotional, possible and impossible. Everything is connected. Everything affects everything else. And sometimes, the answer to the most complex problem is the simplest solution applied with genuine care. Also, Storm added with what could only be described as digital amusement, duct tape really does fix everything. The Alliance would never be the same. Epilogue years later, when historians wrote about humanity's contribution to the galactic community, they wouldn't focus on human weapons or trade goods. They would write about 3 engineers with hammers and duct tape who taught an entire galaxy that sometimes the best way to fix something is to care about it. And in the depths of space, Storm continued to protect the Alliance fleet, humming an old Earth lullaby to itself as it worked. Asterisk.